Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate?
Yes!
Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with podcast 19. Today's podcast, I'm going to talk about what I do to a house when I decide I'm going to rehab it. So I've got it under contract. I'm set to close escrow. Rather than immediately resell it on a wholesale deal, I'm going to go in, rehab it, and then resell it for a gain greater than my rehab cost and my purchase price. So what I'm going to back up and go, what do I do right before I decide to buy? Well, during the conversation I have with the seller, as we walk through the house, and a majority of the houses that we buy, something's wrong with them. Let's face it, they're not the most beautiful homes in the world. They either have to be trashed out, they have to be modernized, something painted. You know, even the folks that think they have a beautiful house, you know, when you remove all the furniture and what have you, you start seeing, you know, the picture frame squares on the wall. You start seeing the squares on the carpet from the furniture, and you just know that you have to fix those things if you're going to flip the house from a rehab perspective. So while I'm talking to the seller, and if I'm in a house that needs like a lot of work to be done, and there's just junk all over the place, and you've seen these houses. I mean, you walk into them, and you know, I bought a house from one lady that was just a pack rat, but she had her aisles that you could walk down. So this entire house was about like a maze. So you could like walk down the living room in this little 2-foot section, over to the couch in this little 2-foot section, pathway, sit on the couch kind of stuff. And her whole house was like that. But then I bought houses from people, like I bought a house from this lady. Oh my goodness. She apologized for not doing the dishes. Well, she couldn't have done the dishes for at least a year. I mean, I haven't seen so many pots and pans stacked on the counter, stacked on the kitchen floor, stacked on the kitchen table. It's like, and there was stuff in them like beans and stuff from her cooking. But she apologized for not doing dishes before I got there. And had I got there 6 months earlier, she would have still apologized because she hadn't done dishes then either. But so what do we do with these folks? I mean, how do we set their life free? Well, one of the nice things about my program, and I always tell people this, one of the nice things about my program is not just getting the cash on the day of your choice and knowing the home is sold, not sold to just anybody, but sold to somebody who can afford to buy it. What's really nice about my program is you can leave anything behind that you don't want. You don't have to clean it up. You don't have to have it professionally cleaned. You don't have to take all the trash to the dump or give it to Goodwill. You can literally pack up what you want to pack up in boxes, however you want to get it out. The moment you're gone, whatever's left, I'll just do whatever I want with it. And most of the time what we do is I have them trashed out. The things that we can donate to a church, we send it to Valley Bible, and they do whatever they do to it. Those things that we can't donate, we take it to the dump. I always figure $750 for cost to do that. I know to have two guys go into a house for 2 days with our dump trailer. So we have this trailer. It's a 4-tire, 2-axle trailer. It has an electric, ram thing that, dumps it. So you push a button and just dumps all the stuff out of the back. So they fill that thing up, they tarp it, they drive it to the dump, 2, 3, 4, 5 loads of that, and we have a house trashed out. And I know I'm going to spend roughly $750 on average. Sometimes I'll spend less, sometimes I'll spend more. The worst one we've ever done, this was crazy. We had to call one of those dumpster roll-off companies, and you've seen them at a construction site kind of thing, where they take this and they roll off this 40-foot long by 8-foot wide by 10 feet tall dumpster, and we had them roll it off, put it in the front of the house on the street, and we stuffed that thing full of the junk that was inside this house I bought. It didn't matter to me. When I give a seller a price, I'm looking at what my costs are. It's a whole lot easier for them to leave that junk behind and have me take it to the dump or donate it than it is for them. And I want to make their life as easy as possible because I want them to pick me because how easy I'm making it for them. So when you're in negotiation with your seller, point out to them one of the great parts about what you do is you buy houses as is. And in fact, that means you can leave whatever you need to leave behind. Now, I'll caution you, if there are any registered motor vehicles like motorcycles or RVs or trailers or cars, I always tell people I can't accept the property with those things. Talking about a nightmare. Have them dispose of them, have them change title, however they want to do that themselves, but I'm not going to take a registered vehicle as an abandoned vehicle on a property. But the junk they can leave. So here, let me get back to now the podcast and go, okay, what do I do to a house? And I actually have a form that, and we had to create this form because we do so many houses and we wanted to stay on track on making sure we did certain things in order. So we have a form. We put it in one of those little plastic sleeves that you'd put a form in a binder kind of thing, and you wanted to make sure that you didn't write on the form and it always stayed pretty. Well, we put them in this plastic sleeve, and we take that plastic sleeve with this form and we tape it to the inside of the front door. And the reason we put it in the plastic sleeve is because when we come in here and paint and we spray with our airless painter sprayers, we don't want to spray the form. We don't mind spraying the plastic, but we want to be able to pull out the form and see what the next task is. So we put this form, plastic sleeve, tape it to the front door, and it tells us what to do. But the first thing we're going to do when we get to the house, the very, very, very first thing we're going to do when we get to the house is plant that for sale sign in the front yard. So the front yard is going to say for sale, phone number, call me, because I want to start selling it as fast as I can. I just put a lot of money out. I just negotiated seller financing. I have something invested in this property. I want to start selling as fast as I can. So I got a for sale sign in the front yard with my phone number on it for people to call me. Second thing I'm going to do, and they're like $35-40 at Lowe's or Home Depot, is I'm going to get a combination lockbox that I can stick somewhere, front doorknob, wrought iron gate, something, the gas meter pipe, something, someplace. I'm going to put a lockbox with multiple keys in it, sets, so they're not all tied together. So maybe 3 sets of keys, and put it in a lockbox. So now I can tell someone, if I'm going to have a plumber go by the house, I'm going to say, the lockbox code's 1234. It's over by the gas meter. Keep a key, put the key back, whatever my instruction is to them. Third thing I'm going to do, so I've got this for sale sign, I've got this lockbox on. I am now going to walk the house with my construction superintendent who's going to start the rehab project. And we have a form for that. So we walk the house. We know what we're going to do. I'm not leaving it up for somebody else to decide how to spend my money. We know what we want to do when we walk this house. We check off this form. We go, we're going to do this, 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 we're going to do this. He keeps that in the file at the office. We go by that. He can schedule by that. He knows what he needs to buy based upon this form, based upon what we've agreed to take this house back to from an improvements perspective. The fourth thing is I'm going to have my trash guys come out and trash the house. So they're going to come in, and these guys just like they're kids. It has to be fun. If I were them and I trashed out a house, I would enjoy trashing out my houses because they go in there and they don't care. They take the carpet out. They take the cabinet tops out if they're Formica. They take the toilets out. They take the vanities out of the small bathroom vanities out. They take the tub shower out in the hall bath. They take the lino out of the kitchens. If it's pulling up, if it's stuck there, we're going to use that as the membrane between the subfloor and the tile that we put back later. They take the light switches out. They take the plugs out. They take the ceiling fans out. They take the exterior light. They're just taking they're destroying it, but they're not. They're not beating up the walls. They're not taking down the doors. All they're doing is taking those things that I'm going to replace away. So we're taking it right all the way down to finished walls or pre-finished walls. So either sheetrocked or plastered walls. They're going to take everything else to the dump, all the trash. They're going to go in the front yard and completely take everything out of the front yard. So if there's trash, if there's whatever it is, they're going to haul everything away. They may take the garage door down if we're going to replace it. Most likely they won't, because I won't replace a garage door. But if we're going to, everything that we need to remove from the property, they're going to haul out and haul away and be done with it. Fifth person that's going to come into my house is my landscape tree person. So this person's going to come in there. So everything's been taken out of the house. Everything's been taken out of on the outside of the house, on the landscaping area, whatever it is, all the surroundings. And they're going to come in and just minimally cut my trees, all my bushes. They're going to just rip the stuff out, cut it, chainsaw it, prune it, whatever they have to do to make the curb appeal better. And I'm only worried about the front curb appeal. So I'm only worried about street view. If I have an overgrown tree, and you've seen the trees, overgrown trees with the limbs and branches that they're growing to the sky. They're just way long. You can tell it hasn't been manicured. If it's a simple tree trim, I'm going to have them do that. But if it's an elaborate one that's going to be expensive, I'm not going to worry about the backyard. I'm only going to worry about front yard curb appeal. So I've got my for sale sign. I've got my lockbox. I've got my trash out, my landscaping out, my trees out. Then we're going to start coming back in here and start actually, what do we do to the house? So I'm going to do tile floors, and I'm going to do like 89-cent Home Depot special on sale tile, the tile of the day kind of thing. But here's what I do. I do enough houses that when Home Depot has a sale for 89 cents or 69 cents or whatever it is, and you know what good deal is at Home Depot when from a tile perspective, I'm going to buy a bucketload of tile. I'm not going to buy just one house. I have found that if we use the same paint color, the same tile choices, the same switches, the same plugs, the same ceiling fans, whatever it is, if we use the same all the time, it's easier, because what I found in the past when we didn't use the same is we had leftovers. Well, there's nothing worse than having to store leftovers. Or what do you do with the leftovers? Well, I don't have leftovers. I just take it to the next house. So if Home Depot has a special on tile, I may buy $5,000 worth of floor tile and store it. A couple of them are going to break. Who cares? Kind of thing. I'll use them for edge tile or whatever. So we're going to go in there. We're going to tile all the floors, the kitchen floor, the bathroom floor, all the hard surface areas. And you can tell the hard surface areas because they got linoleum down or vinyl down or something like that. Not hardwood floor hard surfaces, but the linoleum kind of hardwood floor surfaces. We're going to tile those. In the bathroom, we've removed that small vanity. We've removed the tub and we removed the toilet. We may have already removed the mirror, maybe not. If we left it, we're going to get one of those inexpensive Lowe's, Home Depot, $200 or less vanities. That has the cabinet and the sink and all the stuff with it. We're going to slap that thing in there. On where the tub was, we're going to put a tub enclosure, shower enclosure kind of thing with a door. So we're going to go in there and we're going to put this new fiberglass tub shower unit in there that's going to have a sliding door. We're good. If it's just a tub, maybe we're going to leave the tub. Very rarely will we leave the tub, but if we leave the tub, we're going to pull a tile off the wall, because typically it's going to be green or orange or with the old color kind of stuff. And we want to do new fresh colors. And we always go with 6x6 or 4x4 white. I mean, it's the color kind of thing. So go with what you're going to use in all your houses kind of stuff. And we're going to put that back up. 6x6s we'll use on the vanities, and the 4s we're going to use in the shower. We're going to do 1/4-inch grout lines on the vanity, and we're going to use, butted grout lines on the shower kind of thing. And we're going to go with a new toilet kind of thing. So, but we're not going cheap. We're not going expensive. We're going cheap. So you go look at toilets. You can spend $700 on a toilet, or you can spend $55 on a toilet. We're going inexpensive all the way around. So in the kitchen, we're going to do the same kind of stuff. We're not going to replace cabinets. We may paint the cabinets. We may refinish the cabinets, whatever it is. But I am not going to go into a house and start replacing what the cabinets are. It's crazy. I mean, if worst case scenario, keep the framing of the cabinet. Have a cabinet company come out, give you an estimate, and have new doors and drawers built for it, and make it beautiful. Do a paint grade setup. Sand and paint the stile and rails, have them come back in and set the doors and the drawers for it, and you're going to spend minimal amount of money in comparison to replacing everything. But on the countertops, I may use the 12x12s that I have on the floor at a diagonal pattern. So rather than going Formica or Corian or granite or marble or whatever it is, that floor tile that you spend 79 cents for, put that on the countertop. Cut it 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 for your bullnose for the front. Put it at the diagonal so it looks nicer rather than just straight. That kind of looks cheap. And do a little backsplash, 6-8 inch backsplash with another little, small cut, 1 inch cut. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put hardy backer or something like that. You're not gonna float the floors like they used to in the old days. You just use some hardy backer. Use the right screws and nails that they sell with it. Some people will use a roofing nail. Don't cheapen too much. You want to make sure it lasts a couple days. So use the hardy backer screws that you can buy with it and screw that thing down. You can use some thin set and thin set it down so it has a really good solid performance. And then lay some tile at a 45 on your countertops. Do a little backsplash. Do a little bullnose. I always do self-rimming sinks, so I'm never putting a recessed sink in. I like the self-rimming sinks because they're easier. They're much more forgiving on when you're doing a little rehab like this. So, I got the tile in, what have you. I'm going to just paint everything in off-white, not white. Please don't use brilliant white. You're going to do an enamel in the kitchen and your bathrooms, and you're going to do flat everywhere else. Same color. Make sure you pick the line between the living room or the dining room and the kitchen where you want the flat and the enamel to line out, because that's important. People see that, and I can tell you, if you make the kitchen dining room area look bigger by painting it out a little bit further than maybe it would be normally, the buyer's going to see that line and they're going to see a bigger area. So think about that kind of stuff when you do that. I may have a window guy by now. He's going to come out. I'm not going to replace windows. Okay, I'm not going to change it from a single pane to a dual pane window. If it's a single pane, it's going to stay a single pane. I'll replace the single panes that are cracked. Anything cracked is going to get replaced. My screen company will come out and measure for brand new screens. Everything's going to get rescreened because it looks pretty from the outside. Everything, not that old, worn out, scratched, screen stuff that you see on some of these older houses. Everything gets rescreened. These things are cheap, folks. It's really inexpensive to rescreen a house. Really inexpensive. I mean, if you count the windows you have in a house, you just don't have that many windows. A dozen, 14 windows, and that's about all you have in a house. So to rescreen them is no big deal. The doors. Let's look at as we go down the hallway or for the bedroom doors. If we have some raised panel, 6-panel, 8-panel doors or 2-panel doors, I'm going to, and one of them's damaged, I'm going to keep it consistent. If I have flat panel doors, or flush doors is what they call. If I have some flush doors and I've got to replace one, I'm not switching out my doors. And here's why I'm not. I know the house was built for the neighborhood it was built for. And if the neighborhood required raised panel, 6-panel raised panel doors, then it would already have that. the majority of the houses in a neighborhood haven't been rehabbed and brought up to these really beautiful standards, so I don't have to either. I've already done a couple six packs, so I already know what my other houses in the neighborhood look like, what my competition was and is, so I know it's required. So if I have to do some little millwork, I'm not going to put crown molding in. If it has crown molding and it's broken, or how some people don't know how to put crown molding in, they put it upside down, or their corner cuts or their lap cuts are, shrunk and used big old gaps and what have you. If it's like that, I'm pulling that stuff down. I'm making my house, livable without all the pretty back into it. And so, if I have to replace the water heater, fine, I'll put a new one in. I'm always going to double strap it for earthquake or safety. Living in California, we have an earthquake problem. So I'm always going to double strap it. I'll look at the garage door. Do I have to replace it? Does it go up and down? I am not putting a remote in. So I'm not going to spend another $180 to put a remote in. It's not going to happen. Then I'm going to start switching everything out. Most houses, after a while, those brown or almond color plates and switches and plugs, they're a different color. I mean, they've aged and they're just ugly. Well, I'm going to turn everything to white. Everything's going to go back to white. So I'll do that. I'm going to put all brand new light fixtures in the hallway and the exterior lights, but they're not going to be the expensive ones. They're going to be the little cylinder ones for the outside of the back door kind of thing. Maybe $20 ones for the porch entryway. Ceiling fans, $50 goes a long way on a ceiling fan. Get them on sale. Buy yourself 2, 3, 4 dozen of them. Stock them. So, because when they're not on sale, they're expensive. They're more expensive, and I'm going to buy houses, so why not buy them on sale and buy enough of them for 2, 3 months worth of houses that I'm going to buy in rehab. Paint color, we're going to paint everything. All my trim and my doors and what have you are going to be solid white, so they're going to be the bright white, where the other is going to be the off-white. So I'm going to have contrast in my paint. Carpet, I never put carpet back in. Always let the buyer choose their floor covering. So I'll have my carpet people come out. They'll put some carpet samples out, but I'm not going to carpet it. If it's a concrete subfloor, so it's a concrete foundation, I'll pad it because I want to cover up the cracks in the concrete. If you took out, if you have a concrete foundation on a house that's over 10 years old and you pulled the carpet up and the pad up, you're going to see pretty good sized cracks in it. It's just part of what happens to concrete floors. Well, if buyers don't know that, so I don't want to expose it. I mean, they can inspect it. They can pull the pad up, I guess, if they wanted to. But I don't want to teach them that it's there, so I'm going to cover it up with some pad, but I'm not going to put carpet. Now, if I have a wood raised floor foundation, so it's a wood subfloor, I'm not even going to put the pad down. No reason to. I'm going to, when they took the stuff out the first time, they're going to take all the tack strip out. They're going to take all the staples out of the floor that hold the pad down. Whatever it is, if it's a concrete foundation, going to scrape the concrete to get all the glue and the pad remnants off. So they're doing all that. It's one of the first things they do. So, and then for the exterior, remember we had the guys come out and they trim the stuff and what have you. I'm going to fix the sprinkler. So if I have anything, shooting fountains when I turn the water system on, I'll fix those. If I don't have a sprinkler system, I'm not putting one in. I'm going to paint the eaves. It's always going to be the same color. Always going to be the same color. If I have a roof issue, my roofing contractor is going to come out. He's going to do whatever he needs to do, give me the 2-year roof certification that I'm going to need for either FHA or conventional lenders, the roof cert. So they're gonna patch. Sometimes we'll have to replace the roof. If we have to replace the roof, I'm not going to have my roofing contractor do it. My guys will do that. They know how to put 3-dimensional or 3-tab composition roof down. So we'll do that. We'll lay over it if we only have a single layer down already. If we already have 2 layers down, we'll scrape those 2 layers off, and we'll do that before trash out. So if we know we're going to, once we do that walkthrough inspection, if we know we're going to redo the roof, we'll pull that roof right off of that thing, so we can take all that trash out of the landscaping and whatever. And I can warn you that if you're going to scrape a roof and you're going to take that off, take some painter tarps and if you have landscaping, and lay over all your landscaping so you don't get all that stuff inside of your trees and everything. Because if you don't put tarps out, all that debris, all the little things and the nails and the staples and what have you just get all in that landscaping. It's a pain to get all that pretty again. But if you have tarps, you just pick up the tarps, take it over to the dumpster and shake out the tarps. And so I'm doing very basic things to this house. Again, I'm cleaning it out. I'm trimming some trees in the front. I might trim some trees in the back. I'm pulling out the tub, the toilets, the vanities. I'm going to replace those. I'm going to put hard surfaces down. And guys, I mean, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, where do you find all the guys to do all this stuff? Home Depot. Go to Home Depot, hang out in, the tile aisle at Home Depot. You can tell a tile setter when you see one, or you can tell a plumber when you see one in the plumbing aisle. You can tell a painter when you see one, because they, white overalls or white pants and white shirt and white paint all over their clothes kind of stuff. But here's what I also found. Home Depot, you're going to have a Home Depot in your area or a Lowe's in your area where workers who want to go to work are at. Like, they'll be out there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and these people just standing around. You go there, you have no clue why, people are standing around Home Depot. We'll go up to them. Do you work? Do you do day labor? Absolutely, I do. What do you do? Well, I hang doors. Well, great. What do you charge? Well, I charge $8 an hour or whatever it is. And find your labor that way. Don't hire a contractor to contract the subs. Be the guy, be the gal that does this. Now, in my case, I have, had crews that did this for me, and I could rely on. I knew who could do what. Like, although you got to learn what they can do. I had this one guy working for me. Yeah, I'm a tile setter. I'm a great tile setter. Well, he might have been a great tile setter in the country he was from, but he wasn't a great tile setter. I was pissed off. But anyway, different story. So walked into this house, and it's like, man, there were overcuts on corners, and I mean, it's like, really? But you learn the hard way, and you fix it and you redo it, and I learned now. Show me you can do some tile work before I have you over here working on your own. But find those laborers that way, and word of mouth kind of thing. Find out who they are, and those handyman, they're great. Find that handyman, handy gal, whatever they are, and they're the painter, they're the plumber, they're the electrician. They're not really plumbers, they're not really electricians, but they can do switch outs. They can do replacing of lights. They can change a toilet out. They can change a sink out. But you wouldn't hire them to do plumbing on a brand new construction kind of thing. And I wouldn't hire them to do plumbing in my house that I live in, because the plumbing, it needs to be better, more special. And but for the houses that we buy and that kind of thing, yeah, these guys are great. And so find those all-around people that you can call up and have do this stuff for you. So again, I'm gonna trash it out, a for sale sign, lockbox, walk through, determine what I'm gonna do to it. I'm gonna take the carpet out. I'm gonna take the vanities out, the sink out, the tub out. I'm gonna put hard surface tile on the floor. I'm gonna put a new tub in, new shower combination, new toilet, new vanity. I'm not going to put my carpet back in. I'm going to re-switch, replug, relight everything to white. Ceiling fans, if I have a bedroom and it doesn't have a ceiling fan, but it has a light that I can turn on and off, I'm going to go to a ceiling fan. I'm going to do a ceiling fan with a chain, and then the light will turn off with the light switch that turned the light on before. So, and because, we're looking at, $40, $30 sometimes, and, a light is half of that, but the ceiling fan adds so much more value. And so put the ceiling fan in. Again, I'm going to buy all this stuff in bulk, so I'm putting the same thing in each house. So the same brown trim is going to go on, the same color composition, 3 tabs going to go. Sometimes I'll use 3-dimensional, sometimes I'll use 3 tab. And the difference between what they look like, just go down to Home Depot, look at their roofing section and say, oh, that's 3-dimensional, that's what that looks like. That's 3 tab, that's what that looks like. Not going to pour concrete. I'm not going to do anything. I'll repair fences. I'm not going to take down a fence. Go visit a fence company that does fence repair. Learn how they put posts back in to restabilize a fence. So that when your guys are doing it or you're hiring it to be done, it can be done and how it's done. but don't take down sections of fence. I mean, there's no reason. It's the post that deteriorates first, and so the fence is probably okay. But sometimes, you have to take down the whole fence, but that's rare. And then figure out what it's going to be worth when you're done. You got a for sale sign, first thing you did, and sell it for a rehab condition, and give a carpet allowance, and make a bucket load of money, and be done with it. Most houses I can get in and out of, most always, within, we're 6 man days, 12 man days, so 2 guys for 6 days. So I have 12 man day from a labor perspective. I know what material is, no big deal. Rarely will it cost me more than 10 grand to do a real whitewash rehab. They're just not that. We know we're buying houses, 1,500 square feet or smaller. Sometimes we'll get up to 3,000 or 2,000, but we're not buying big houses. So, they got, 1 or 2 toilets in them, and they got, 2 sinks and a kitchen. So they're not that big of it's not that big of a deal. So, go to Home Depot, visit see what things cost, find out what labor is, find out all these things so you can feel comfortable with it. Follow a system. Have that form that you put on the back of the door that's in the plastic sleeve, and stay on track, get it done, get in, get out, resell it, be happy, and go on to the next one. Hope this helps any of you that are thinking about what do you have to do and how do you do it. If you have any questions, post them under the podcast. I'd love to answer them if I can. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.